Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming to the video. This is Ronnie from YouTube. Hope you're all doing well today. And today we're talking about supplementation on a raw vegan diet. And what do I think about supplementation? Well, some people I think seem to have a view that I am completely against supplementation and I don't think it's necessary or a good thing ever, and that's not really the case. My own personal journey is raw vegan, 7 years. In some of that time, I was eating cooked food as well. So maybe some of that was fortified food. I have had things like nutritional yeast at times, which has some fortification, but not consistently. Certainly not over 7 years. I had it maybe for a 6-month period at one point. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I've never taken any other supplements. Now, I'm not saying that to suggest that you do that. I'm not saying that that is how to do the diet and lifestyle, but my kind of point with this experiment of mine is that I want to be able to say to other people or show other people that when you're changing to this diet, the thing that you shouldn't be worried about as a priority is supplementation and deficiency. Because if people think that on top of all the other things you have to do to change this lifestyle, that you're going to have to supplement and you're going to be deficient and it's not going to give you enough nutrients or whatever, it becomes pointless to do it. Like, why would you do a diet that's already kind of going to require quite a lot of changes in your life if it's going to lead you towards a deficiency? Like, no one wants to do that. So to me, the promise of this diet is that it is a diet where you require less supplementation, not more, that you require less intervention, less medication in your life, less chance of getting disease, and more chance of being your full, vibrant, healthy, clear-minded self. And that's what I think the promise of this diet is. And you can call it natural or whatever, being your natural self, whatever, but I just think it's the most obvious, healthiest diet. And why you wouldn't have a diet focused or based on fruit, which is the food that clearly our body is adapted to consume. Our body is like a fruit digesting machine. It doesn't make any sense that people wouldn't eat that if they knew that that was the right thing to do. So what I do take issue with is that if you think about the psychology of someone that's coming into this diet, firstly, everyone who's not a vegan yet thinks that a vegan diet is deficient in protein and maybe other things. Every single person. There's very few people that aren't vegan that think the vegan diet is sufficient and is better and is nutritionally better. There's very few people that think that. So we're already dealing with the fact that people are coming into this assuming that the diet is deficient, it's missing things, you're going to get sick, you're going to get skinny, and you're going to waste away, you're not going to build muscle, all that kind of stuff. So there's already those fears to then kind of fuel those fears with saying, oh yeah, you can do this diet, but you might want to worry about deficiency. Like, it's totally wrong to me. And let's look at the history of deficiency, because that's how the whole field of nutrition started to be studied, because deficiencies were happening. These are really serious diseases with really obvious, big, major symptoms that killed millions of people. These aren't just you felt a bit tired, you felt a bit under the weather. That's not what it was. It was like your teeth are falling out, your skin's falling off, all this crazy stuff's happening when people are actually deficient. So we're talking about scurvy, and let's look through these. Scurvy was not caused in a vegan diet. Scurvy killed loads and loads of people. It was a diet that sailors were having, which was salt beef, salt pork, stuff like that, and wheat biscuits. So we're talking about starches and meat is what they were eating. It's a deficient diet. Over time it can lead to vitamin C deficiency. And that's why you shouldn't base your diet on starches and meat. That's one of the things. So that's not a vegan diet, cause huge deficiencies. We look at beriberi and pellagra. Well, these were probably starch-based diets, but none of these people were trying to be vegan. Maybe they were vegan by accident, but they weren't vegan philosophically. They weren't trying to be vegan. So we'd have to assume that there were some animal products in their diet if they could get them. And of course, a lot of poor people historically couldn't get a lot of animal products, but maybe they did, they didn't. I don't know exactly. I've not got the information exactly of what their diet was. And not vegan, but deficiencies, serious deficiencies. There's one called vitamin A deficiency, night blindness. This isn't, a vegan issue, but once again, it's a deficiency that's happening. Iodine deficiency wasn't a vegan issue. Rickets wasn't a vegan issue. Really funny that people think that rickets, vitamin D, you need to get vitamin D from animals, but the people that got rickets, they weren't avoiding animal products. They weren't vegans. They weren't getting sunlight, and that's why they were getting rickets. So anyhow, B12 deficiency, not just actual B12 deficiency, is happening to old people, is happening to people it's happened to lots of people that aren't vegan. So it's not a purely vegan issue. So there's no history at all of any of these dietary deficiencies being a cause of a vegan diet, and certainly not a raw vegan diet. And most of them would be solved by more fruits and vegetables in the diet, of course, because fruits and vegetables are the foods that we are adapted to consume our vitamins and minerals from. So having starch diets, it's funny people talk about starchivores, all the bloody all the deficiencies were caused in starch-based diets, and that's why starches are fortified with other minerals and vitamins and stuff. So you've got to a point now in the modern world. If you're watching this, you're probably in the first world, in kind of America, the UK, Europe, Australia, South Korea, whatever, Japan, more prosperous countries. Deficiency doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't exist. I mean, people are dying because they're eating poorly, but that's not really the same as deficiency. They're eating in excess of bad stuff, and that's really the major problem. But they're not getting the symptoms of dietary deficiency. So whenever there is an emotion and a fear, there is a business. Wherever there is an emotion, a fear, a worry, an anxiety, someone can manipulate people in that state and make money. And that's what's happened with the whole world of supplementation and vitamin selling. And it's an absolute fraud that's been going on for an awful long time, where people are sold vitamins that don't really work, or don't improve their health, supplements that don't really supplement, because you can't supplement whole foods, you can't supplement fruits and vegetables. And the con that's played on people, that's been going over and over and over again, is the food is deficient, the soil, the farmers are, they're not putting enough stuff in the soil, that everything is degrading, the world's falling apart, and the government's doing nothing about it, and there's no nutrition in the food anymore, despite the fact that food couldn't grow without nutrition being in the soil, which is something that people don't seem to get. And all the food at the supermarket tastes bad because it's got no nutrition in it, and all the nutrition's went down over the years. This is something people have been saying for like 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. This is total nonsense. It's not backed up by any science. People say this as if it's a real thing. It's marketing information. It's sales pitches. It's a con. So when people perpetuate that in the raw vegan movement, I just know that they're ignorant of the fact that they've been conned. And when I ask them for where is your science to back that up, they say that the science is clear. Like, what science? Where? Because when I look at the science and I see the government-backed science, it's saying there's not been much different change in the nutrition in food, because the government monitors these things. That's partly what food agencies and governments and scientists are there to do. They're not all there they're not all there getting money from the pharmaceutical industry and all this stuff, which is a crazy thing that people think. So what I'm trying to tell you, if I'm trying to tell you anything, is that I'm not against, but overall, I'm not against the idea of people supplementing, or that people might require supplementation in our modern world and for many reasons. And maybe there are things that maybe the food is different to what we used to eat. Maybe we should have more tropical fruit. Maybe there was other things that we ate. Maybe we ate special flowers and special nuts, and who knows, things that might have had different nutrients in that we require. But I have not seen a lot of my friends who are like long-term raw vegan people, I've not seen them being desperate to supplement. I know some have supplemented with B12 after a while, and most of that was because they don't want to risk it. It's not because they were starting to get deficiency or symptoms of deficiency, but they found that their B12 was going down and down over the years, and they decided to supplement. And a lot of them didn't really feel much difference, but they did it anyway, and they continue to do it because that's a good recommendation. But some people are like developing all these ideas of deficiencies that completely don't exist, and that's just crazy to me. And it's so obvious to me that they want to hold a position of a go-to person that people go to and say, oh, please tell me what deficiencies I have. And that's the psychology of this as well as this. When people are changing their diet, often, for a start, they're not very clear about what they're actually doing. And they often lie about what they're doing. Not on purpose, but they don't tell the truth. They often look for advice and help. And instead of really finding out what is that person actually eating, are they really eating the diet? Is this really why they're sick? Is this really why they're getting a problem? Some people are jumping to supplementation and telling people to do blood tests and do this and saying, oh, this is low, that's low, you need to take this. And then people like that. It's not your fault. You didn't make a mistake with the diet. It's the food, it's the farmers, it's someone else. People love to hear that. And then you've got the placebo effect, which is basically when you tell people to take something and they believe it's going to work for them, they feel better. It's like the placebo effect is well known. So it's very hard for people for there to be any truth to this. But anyway, I'm not a big proponent of supplements, but I'm certainly not against it. I suggest that you maybe get a clinical diagnosis or whatever from your doctor to see if you've actually deficient or not. And if not, like, don't worry about it. That's my message. So my video's running out. Thank you for watching.